Have you ever heard of an owner of a rental property being hijacked by their property manager? That is what's going on all over the place. It's not just Detroit. I have heard it is happening absolutely everywhere. And it happened to somebody, and he reached out to me because I said just briefly on these videos that I offer consulting services. And so he did reach out to me and he said, listen to my story. Can you help me? And it turns out that I could. And I've been working on this for a few weeks, and I've been eager to tell you when there's finally an end to the story how it all turned out. So I'm going to tell you this story today of what happened when this man who lives in Tahiti but has a house in Detroit, whose house got basically hijacked by his property manager, exactly what happened to it. But first, let me tell you who I am. I'm Monique Burns. My husband and I buy houses in Detroit. We renovate them. We've been doing this since 2007. We bought our first house. We built up our own portfolio from 2015 to 2020. We built up a property management company with the end goal of scaling it up and then selling it. We did sell it. And when we sold it, we were very surprised at how this other property manager we sold to did business. And we thought it was really bad. And a lot of the owners were either fed up with the property manager, so much so that they're like, find me someone new. Or they came to me and they said, can you just sell my house? So I just had two portfolios come through recently of people that are to that point where they're fed up with their property manager and they want me to sell their houses. But anyway, I want to tell you this consulting story. So I am not doing property management anymore, but I can guide people. I do have some boots on the ground that can help people. And I had this idea from going through the company I sold to and just running into different property management companies since then, that I'm just like, wow, I cannot believe people do business like this. Where I thought, why aren't owners just managing it themselves? And their answers that they give me are, well, I don't live in Detroit, so how can I? And I'm like, but you can. If you have people here for different things, you might as well, because what a lot of owners are doing right now is they're spending a lot of their time managing the manager, and they shouldn't have to do that. I know when I had a property management company, we hardly ever talked to the owners. There was nothing to talk about. And it seems to me it should be that way, but it's not. That has not been people's experience. So if you could just, before we keep going, give it a like, share, comment below. I love your comments. It helps promote my videos and it keeps me encouraged to make more videos. So that's very appreciated. Thank you. So this story. So this man from Tahiti says, can you help me? This is what's going on. And I'm not going to name names. I'm dying to, but I can't name names. So the guy in Tahiti calls and he says, my property management company, I don't trust them. I just don't trust them at all. The things that they charge me for repairs and stuff, they just don't even jive. They don't make sense with what things actually cost out there. I mean, I get it that I have to pay a property manager to go do their job. That makes sense, but not like that. And he said, so they told me that my tenant moved out and they need to move in a house sitter, and they pay their house sitter $100 a week, which, that's up to whomever, what you pay someone to watch a house. In Detroit, if you don't have somebody house sitting while the house is vacant, your furnace and hot water heater will be stolen. Oftentimes when people move out, the tenants will take the furnace and hot water heater with them. There's must be some big market for used ones or for the scrap metal or something. And the police just have not really supported us yet in doing anything about this. So it's something we're always trying to get ahead of. So house sitters is a good thing. We charge $50 a week for house sitters. That's what we pay a house sitter, in other words. But so this property manager was charging $100. Okay. He said to me, I just really don't trust them. Is it possible you could go look and see what needs to be done and we could go from there? Maybe my crew would have time to go do the turnover. Not usually, but maybe I could refer him to somebody who could. Or maybe I could just send my husband who could walk through. My husband knows exactly what a house takes to pass a city inspection. He could walk through and say, okay, it needs this, this, and this. Things like I wouldn't replace the kitchen cabinets. They've got 5 more years, or just reglaze that tub. Don't rip it out for this or that reason. He could walk through and say, this is what I would do if it were my own house. And my husband charges $250 to do that kind of investor inspection. And he's been pretty busy with those. He can't always do them either, but anyway. So this guy said, yeah, let's have that done. So the guy in Tahiti calls his property manager here, and the property manager here says, no, you cannot use somebody else to do any of the renovation work, any of the turnover work. I'm not having it, and you're fired. So basically, it didn't come out exactly like that, but basically the property manager said, take a hike. I'm not helping you anymore. Good luck to you finding somebody else to handle your problem here in Michigan. And so I told my husband, I'm like, well, what are we going to do? We can't even get the keys to get in the house. I said, just drive by. Chances are it's like hanging open and the furnace is already gone. And you can get right in and just see how much damage has been done since the guy moved out. Like, I think it was 3 months ago. So my husband drives by and there's somebody living there. But I don't know, is it the house sitter? Did the tenant maybe never move? Is it a squatter? I don't know. And it's not smart to go banging on the door and like, who are you? I mean, people get shot doing stuff like that. So you can't really do that. And so I happen to know a lot of people in Detroit. So I figured out who's the owner of this property management company. I went on Facebook. I found out who his Facebook friends are. And I started reaching out to them because I know them. And one of them, I said, how well do you know him? And he doesn't really, but he knows his title person. And so this friend of mine was reaching out to his title person who was reaching out to the owner. Meanwhile, I found out who his broker is because when you have a property management company by law, you have to have a broker that is in charge of your company. So if anything untoward happens, you can contact the broker. And that's a license that you're supposed to have. A lot of property managers are not licensed that way. A lot of property managers don't even have a real estate license and they're doing real estate transactions. The penalties for that, not very steep, but having a broker is a good thing because of a situation like this. I happened to figure out who the broker was. Well, between those two things, and I don't know which, all of a sudden, this guy in Tahiti gets 3 months of rent because obviously the guy never moved out. What was this property manager going to do? Charge him for a whole turnover? The guy never moved out. What's going on here? And so my idea was this guy in Tahiti, I wanted the tenant to pay him directly and just like leave me out of it and let this owner take it over himself. And so I did work on that with the tenant and it got a little dicey. The tenant wasn't very happy about it because it was a foreign transaction and he did a lot of challenging of me of, well, I'm not paying someone foreign. And I'm like, well, this is a global society. Come on. Aren't you happy you got in touch with the owner? He's like, well, I want to talk to him directly. Like, that's fine. I'm happy to facilitate that. And the owner was too. And so the two of them spoke and they went over it was interesting. They went over the repairs and the tenant told me yesterday when I was talking to him, he's like, I couldn't believe the list of repairs that property manager was charging him. Something like $700 to change some knobs on a bathtub. And he said, plus there were all these things that they never even did that they charged that owner for. It's so wrong. At the end, the tenant was very happy to work with me, but I did pass it on to a small property manager that I know of that could handle the money part because it was too sophisticated. What I was asking the tenant to, the form of payment that I was asking the tenant to use, it was an app that works between countries called Wise. And I just learned about it myself. It's kind of cool. It was a little too much. It made the tenant have trust issues and things. I thought, he just needs like a local property manager. And it was cool. This whole thing, I mean, I feel like that was a happy ending. The tenant was very happy. He has paid his first month's rent. The owner of the house is very happy that I saved his situation. And in the process, I rescued a few other things too for him. He didn't know how to look up his taxes to know that he actually had back taxes and this owner was at risk of losing the property because one of the things he was doing with his property manager was letting the property manager pay his taxes, which is not ever a good thing. And he also had his LLC set up under this property manager. And so I was able to figure out how to change that over as well. And then his tax bill was going right to the house. So I was able to help him figure out how to change that. And I was able to connect him with this new person that could watch his property for him as a property manager. And everybody's happy. The tenant's happy. The owner's happy. I had a blast. I thought it was really fun. It was like, I felt like an investigator. So that's what I've been up to lately. If that's something that interests you, maybe I can help you, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not out trying to hurt any property managers. I'm not out to get anybody and, bust them. But I do have a problem when people aren't being ethical. And that was very clearly unethical to the max what this guy was doing. And I really, truly believe that owners should take a hard look at managing things themselves. I was at a Mr. Landlord convention, and my husband and I happened to sit with somebody who lives in New York City, has 30 houses in Detroit that he self-manages. And he told us exactly how he does it. And it was exactly what I've been planning on teaching people in different methods. I'm going to put together some courses on like how to interview tenants, or, piecemeal the whole thing. Just different people have different needs, how that could all look or work out. And I don't want to be rigid. I do this and it costs this. I want to work with people and come up with creative solutions depending on different situations. So if that's something that interests you, I would love to hear from you. Shoot me an email and keep watching. And I really appreciate all you fans who keep watching me. Thanks for watching.